today we had a record-breaking seizure at the port of Houston. Federal agents intercepted hundreds of thousands of kilos of chemicals headed for Mexico's notorious Sinaloa cartel.
In the shadow depths of the Culiacan jungle, where the canopy cloaks lethal secrets, an unrelenting battle rages in silence. Hidden beneath an unseen shroud, a fentanyl lab capable of claiming tens of millions of lives operates without detection. But America's watchful eye remains sharp. Armed with the latest technology, the F-15EX Eagle II planes carry swift judgment from the skies, prepared to decimate this criminal empire in a heartbeat. Can silence ever defeat death? Let's delve into the covert airstrike that rattled the underworld, where justice requires no warning, just 2.5 seconds to change everything. In the haunting silence of the Culiacan jungle, the thick canopy forms a natural shield, cloaking all from the prying eyes of satellites, radar, or even low-flying surveillance planes. Yet, American intelligence found a way to breach the veil. 7 months ago, a stealth reconnaissance aircraft, cruising at an altitude of 23 kilometers, intercepted the first faint trace from above. It detected subtle rhythmic radio signals emanating from an enigmatic location in the Rio Fuerte Valley. Initially, analysts thought it was just a harmless community radio station. But when the data reached Signal Analysis Center 5 at Fort Meade, AI algorithms unraveled a chilling discovery: a sophisticated encryption sequence. Without hesitation, National Intelligence Agency satellites adjusted their orbits, sweeping the area every 3 hours. Infrared imagery revealed irregular heat surges every 5 hours, pinpointing covert industrial activity hidden in the jungle. Simultaneously, a U.S. Special Forces team, posing as biologists and environmental journalists, silently infiltrated the border region. Disguised, they planted dozens of minuscule chemical sensors along remote forest trails. The results were staggering. Concentrations of acetic anhydride, pseudoephedrine, lithium, and ammonium nitrate, volatile chemical agents, surpassed safe levels by 400 times. A classified urgent report was dispatched to the Pentagon. Suspected strategic production facility in Culiacan. In a high-stakes meeting at the DEA's auxiliary headquarters, a senior officer pointed to the satellite imagery and proclaimed, "This isn't an agricultural processing plant. This is a death factory." Further analysis confirmed the chilling reality. At full capacity, the facility could produce enough lethal chemicals to jeopardize over 35 million lives. Yet, it remained utterly undetected by Mexican law enforcement. For the past 4 years, every attempt to raid the area had ended in failure. At least 2 Mexican federal police teams sent to infiltrate the area disappeared within 36 hours. Their bodies were never recovered, but KH-11 satellite thermal imagery captured figures being dragged deep into the jungle before vanishing without a trace. A classified NSA report later confirmed that the region was entirely under CJNG control. In response, experts at the Joint Special Operations Command quickly assembled a detailed 3-dimensional model of the area, mapping out movement routes, supply chains, power consumption, guard patrol schedules, and the precise timing of covert chemical transport vehicles entering the forest. Over the span of 5 weeks, the intelligence database grew so precise that it reconstructed every concrete block of the hidden facility. At the same time, leveraging global signal surveillance systems, the NSA successfully infiltrated CJNG's encrypted communication network. Calls and messages exchanged between frontline commanders and the operations hub were intercepted and decrypted in under 2 hours. One sensitive conversation captured a regional boss bragging, "They'll never find it. This place is invisible on every map." He couldn't have been more wrong. It might not have appeared on Mexican maps, but on the U.S. Air Force's operational screens, it stood out as clear as daylight. The Defense Intelligence Agency recommended deploying the stealth RQ-180 drone for further reconnaissance. Within 48 hours, the drone silently glided over the target, collecting detailed 3-dimensional data, from the positioning of diesel generators to the operational cycles of the ventilation system. A mission commander observed, "We don't just know where they are, we know how they operate." By 10:47 p.m. on August 20th, the final digital map was completed. Every structure in the area, from production rooms, chemical storage, watchtowers, and restrooms to the helicopter landing pad, was pinpointed with GPS coordinates accurate to the centimeter. A message flashed on the U.S. Special Operations Command screen. Target confirmed, ready to act. At 4:37 a.m., the windowless No. 2 operations room at the Pentagon glowed dimly, illuminated only by cold white light, a digital map, and the tense faces locked on screens. The latest infrared satellite imagery from the KH-11 constellation revealed the Culiacan facility working without pause. The temperature from the chemical systems climbed steadily each hour. The acrid scent of ammonium acetate hung in the air across the nearby valleys. They were still churning out lethal poison. In that moment, everyone in the room knew the truth. If they didn't strike today, thousands of American lives would be claimed tomorrow by pills smaller than a fingernail. The question in the operations room was simple: who would strike? Two options lay before them: the F-22 Raptor, an undetectable stealth Phantom, or the F-15EX Eagle II, a heavily armored beast built to crush any obstacle. Both aircraft were formidable, but this target was no ordinary warehouse or hideout. It was a fortified stronghold designed like a military base. 3 layers of concrete walls, reinforced underground bunkers, heavily armed guards, infrared cameras, and ground radar connected by military-grade cables. Inside, a relentless chemical factory churned out poison more lethal than any bullet. Major General Gregory P. Johnson, Deputy Commander of Air Operations, rose from his seat, pointing at the F-15 image on the screen. The Raptor is a surgical knife. The Eagle is a sledgehammer. This time we don't need finesse. We need to crush everything. The operations commander nodded in agreement. The F-22 can carry only 6 weapons in its internal bay, but the F-15EX can carry 24, including bunker-busting bombs weighing over 600 kilograms. Stealth was no longer a priority, as silence wasn't the objective this time. Overwhelming power, visible from the skies, was the message. The F-15EX Eagle II was the choice. Not just for its unmatched firepower, the F-15EX Eagle II is a fortress of airborne electronic warfare. Its advanced jamming system can blind enemy radar within a radius of dozens of kilometers, making it appear as a phantom in 5 different locations at once. Its automatic missile defense system can neutralize any surface-to-air missile locked onto it. If attacked, the Eagle retaliates instantly with A-120, A-9X, or AGM-88 HARM missiles, specifically designed to destroy radar systems. This aircraft doesn't just come to drop bombs, it arrives to instill terror from the very shadow of its wings. Security advisors met in secret, engaging in a heated debate. Entering Mexican airspace without permission would breach national sovereignty. Direct approval from the U.S. president was required, but the executive order had already been drafted. Earlier, on August 19th, the White House issued an executive appendix reclassifying CJNG and the Sinaloa Cartel as transnational terrorist organizations. This move changed everything. What was once a routine anti-drug operation was now redefined as a national security defense activity, comparable to U.S. airstrikes against al-Qaeda in Yemen or the Taliban in Pakistan. The president had been fully briefed. The target was locked with near-perfect precision, and the risk of civilian casualties was virtually non-existent if the strike occurred at 3 a.m. when the night shift had ended and the morning shift had yet to begin. The only remaining concern was Mexico's reaction. This risk had been calculated. Officially, Mexico opposed any U.S. military action on its soil. However, in reality, Mexican military intelligence had quietly shared topographical maps of the Culiacan Mountains with JASOC 3 weeks prior. No paperwork, no signatures, just a GPS file accidentally leaked. The meeting concluded with one question: if not now, then when? Do you want to stop these cartels' operations immediately? If yes, comment the number 2. If no, comment the number 5. Everyone understood that hesitation meant more deaths. Waiting would only embolden the cartel, convincing them they were untouchable. At 5:08 a.m., the encrypted order Echo Charlie was transmitted to Strategic Air Command. 3 short words: Eagle flies silent. No explanation, no response needed. 14 F-15EX Eagle II jets took off from hangar number 5 at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base in Arizona. Each jet carried 2 GBU-53 bombs. Every pilot carried the weight of lost friends, comrades, and loved ones, victims of the cartel's poison. And they all shared one message: no one threatens Americans without facing the consequences. The F-15EX Eagle II wasn't just an aircraft, it was a verdict. That morning, the verdict was delivered. At 3 a.m. on August 21st, darkness still hung over Rio Fuerte like a thick black curtain. But above the clouds, 14 F-15EX Eagle II jets silently crossed the border. No radio signals, no satellite transmissions, no confirmation, only automated navigation systems, encrypted waypoints, and a cold, clear order etched in the cockpit. Maintain stealth until the bombs drop. The flight had departed at 1:14 a.m. from Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, Arizona. The pilots were unaware they were entering the airspace of an allied nation. The pilots knew only one thing: they were targeting a mass-killing production facility. Intelligence had dubbed it the Poison Heart of northern Mexico. Inside each F-15EX Eagle II were 2 GBU-53 bombs, small-diameter smart bombs guided by GPS, capable of penetrating 1.2 meters of concrete and obliterating targets within a 2-meter radius. Each bomb was programmed with precise coordinates derived from RQ-180 satellite data. There were no refueling planes, no support forces, no backup plan, just a single flight path through the valley, evading radar until the point of destruction, then returning. The formation of 14 F-15EX Eagle II jets entered Mexican airspace from northern Sonora at an altitude of 29,000 feet. The aircraft's electronic warfare systems acted as an impenetrable shield, jamming ground radar and creating false ghost signatures with thermal and magnetic signals to mislead the enemy. On Mexican military radar screens, if anyone was watching, they would see only random weather disturbances. No traces of aircraft. Each pilot knew the terrain as intimately as the face of a loved one. For weeks, they had trained in virtual reality cockpit simulations, mastering every curve of the valley, every turbulent airstream, and the exact moment to descend to 22,000 feet to slip through the dense clouds. The pilots knew the cartel's patrol schedules, the locations of the defensive posts, and the thermal binocular observation points. They didn't need to look, every detail was engraved into their minds. At 2:58 a.m., the formation split, aligning into an arrowhead pattern. The flight leader, Lieutenant Colonel Sarah Donovan, signaled via internal lights, 90 seconds to target. No words were exchanged, but the order was understood. Below, the production facility glowed with lights. Diesel generators roared through the darkness. The sharp, acrid smell of chemicals hung in the night air, saturating the forest like a toxic fog. Inside the facility, cartel technicians were busy transforming pseudoephedrine into a deadly product batch by batch, cooked in industrial pressure vats. Not a single glance upward. No one knew. Death hovered silently in the sky. At exactly 3:00 a.m., the F-15EX Eagle II formation leveled out. The combat system confirmed target lock. GPS pinpointed 28 ground coordinates, chemical storage, production plant, coordination center, communication hub, watchtowers, barracks. Thermal sensors verified all targets were active. No doubt, no interference, no obstacles. Lieutenant Colonel Sarah Donovan disengaged the weapon system safety. The screen flashed red. Ready to fire. She pressed the button. Simultaneously, the entire formation pulled the trigger. In 2.5 seconds, 28 GBU-53 bombs detached from the aircraft, silently plummeting into the darkness. No smoke, no sound, no warning. They vanished into the black. Silent, precise, devastating. the 14 F-15EX Eagle II jets turned and withdrew, gliding through the darkness. No one looked back. The mission was complete. Below, the first explosion struck the chemical storage. Barrels of ammonium nitrate erupted, sending a fireball soaring over 40 meters high, lighting up the forest like daylight. Next came the main facility. 7 GBU 53 bombs smashed into the concrete structure, obliterating production equipment and cooling systems. The underground bunker, holding hundreds of kilograms of unpackaged chemicals, collapsed, igniting into a violent inferno that shot a massive column of toxic smoke skyward, twisting and churning in the night. Watchtowers, barracks, signal stations, all reduced to rubble. The cartel's communication system went silent in just 4 seconds. Everything was gone. 15 kilometers away, cartel sentries armed with thermal binoculars watched in horror. They heard no sound, only saw the ground ignite, structures exploding, engulfed in a wave of fire. One of them desperately grabbed a radio, screaming, "We're exposed!" In that moment, the cartel's illusion of invincibility shattered. In the sky, the 14 F-15EX Eagle II jets turned, accelerated, and vanished beyond the mountains, leaving no trace, undetected by radar and unpursued by missiles. The pilots needed no thanks. They left no message except one, "We see and we destroy." At 5:09 a.m. on August 21st, the Mexican president's office at Palacio Nacional received the first report from National Air Defense. 14 unidentified flying objects had just exited Northwest airspace. No warning, no communication. Just minutes earlier, military observation posts had reported a series of massive explosions in Rio Fuerte. The Mexican military's initial report labeled it a mysterious chemical explosion. But military experts knew better. This was no accident. It was a deliberate strike with precision and scale only one nation on Earth could execute. 30 minutes later, President Claudia Sheinbaum was briefed at her residence. The National Security Advisor summarized the situation. A jungle compound had been completely obliterated. The perpetrator was unclear, but all signs pointed to Washington. The press remained unaware, and the public was still in the dark, but those in the know understood. An invisible weapon had been used. Not missiles, but silence. No declaration, no permission, no accountability. Yet the consequences were undeniable. That morning, Mexico's foreign ministry summoned the U.S. ambassador to demand an explanation. The meeting was tense. The ambassador neither confirmed nor denied the accusation, simply repeating, "I have no information about any military activity in the region." Meanwhile, the U.S. Department of Defense declined to comment. The White House remained silent. The Pentagon spokesperson simply stated, "We don't comment on ongoing operations, but we don't need to confirm either." The airstrike had already spoken for itself. In the underworld, the aftershocks were even more profound. Mid-level CJNG and Sinaloa commanders lost all communication with one of their most vital production hubs. Chemical suppliers in Mazatlan, Los Mochis, and Durango swiftly severed ties, dismantled equipment, and evacuated personnel. Within 24 hours, some fled to Belize or Guatemala trying to escape the chaos. For the first time in nearly a decade, the cartel's network was completely paralyzed. No orders were needed, instinct alone dictated their next move. Flee. In Washington, national security advisors gathered privately with the president. Some voiced concerns over international legal repercussions, potential lawsuits at the United Nations, but others saw a broader picture. A special operations general declared, "The cartel is no longer just criminal. They're a strategic threat, and now they know they can be wiped out at any moment without a single warning." An intelligence officer added, "We're not playing chess by the old rules anymore. We're rewriting the game." By the end of the day, U.S. media began buzzing, questioning a covert airstrike based on commercial satellite data and lingering thermal signatures. But the U.S. government responded with silence. And that silence, no acknowledgement, no denial, no explanation, was Washington's most powerful declaration of war since the operation to eliminate Osama bin Laden. For Mexico's underworld, this was no longer just a drug war. It was a clear message. If you produce fentanyl, if you take American lives with chemicals, you're not just a criminal. You're a military target. Those targets were never warned. In one moment, one explosion, everything vanished from the map, along with the illusion of invincibility. At 3:15 a.m., as the last wisps of smoke hung in the Culiacan forest, the 14 F-15EX Eagle II jets silently crossed back into U.S. airspace like phantoms that never existed. No medals, no speeches, no media images. But behind them, a billion-dollar criminal empire was erased in exactly 2.5 seconds by 28 GBU-53 bombs, each precisely programmed, each strike meticulously calculated, all delivering a single message. We see you, and we can come for you anytime. From the lightning-fast F-15EX Eagle II airstrike on the Culiacan fentanyl facility, a profound lesson emerges. Justice can come from unexpected places, wielding unstoppable power and precision. Advanced technology, seamless agency coordination, and unwavering resolve prove that no hideout is untouchable. For those watching this video, remember that silence is sometimes the mightiest weapon, and when a nation acts for its people, no criminal force can withstand it. Reflect. Will you stand with justice or with tolerance? As the smoke cleared over the Culiacan jungle, only ashes and the resounding silence of justice remained. The covert F-15EX Eagle II airstrike not only obliterated a billion-dollar fentanyl empire, but also sent a chilling message: no one kills Americans and escapes the consequences. This was not just a victory, but a declaration of unrelenting strength and resolve. What do you think of this action? Should the U.S. continue such strikes to end the drug threat? Leave the number 2 in the comments if you support it, or 5 if you oppose, and share your thoughts to discuss this uncompromising war.